Gear Chronicle was once heralded the most powerful clan in existence, but now it's just whispers and rumors. One could say it's a lost legend. This is the rise and fall of Gear Chronicle. Stand up! Vanguard! Gear Chronicle was one of the strongest and most prevalent clan during the Gear. They were dominating all the regionals and Springfest throughout the seasons that were covering the Gear. Yet today we rarely see them in action. This was even more prevalent with the last World Championship, as during the livestream they showed the different statistics of the previous competitive scene. And what caught my eye was the fact that in the total top 8 representations for Premium and Standard combined, there was a total of 0 Gear Chronicle decks. That, combined with the fact that even the year before that we didn't have any Standard representation because they weren't allowed to participate, as in that year we didn't have a Standard support wave. But on the Premium side, even with the entire G era support wave backing us up, they only got 4 top 8 spots, 1 third place, and a second place that's none other than W Slasher. So W Slasher, currently you're the #1 Gear Chronicle player in Premium ever since the reboot. So congrats. But that also tells a worrying sign that Gear Chronicle has lost its crown. And today I'm gonna tell the story of what happened, where it all went wrong. And the best way to tell that story is to go back all the way to the beginning and start at where the G era began and see how Gear Chronicle evolved during the different support wave, and then we can immediately see where it all went wrong and how this might impact the near future. We of course start at the beginning of the G era. This was the time the entire game changed. We got the new stride mechanic, but also a brand new clan, Gear Chronicle. On the start of the G era, we got the awakening of the Interdimensional Dragon trial deck, which gave us the key cards like Chronojet Dragon, Steam Fighter Ember, and the Stride Mystery Flare Dragon. Along with this trial deck, we got the support in the first main booster set, the Generation Stride. This gave us Best Girl Arlim, the Unflip PG, our Chronojet Stride Fighter, and Gigi, which would only become useful once the Time Leap engine would be created. This also gave us 2 iconic strides, Chronos Command Dragon and our finisher Ragnar Clock Dragon. In Soaring Ascent of Gil Blossom, we got Glimmer Breath. Not really powerful, but just like Ember, would become the namesake card for that type of ability, cost, and condition. This set also gave us our Chronojet Crit and Fate Rider Dragon, which had the pseudo Time Leap ability. After this set, we got the Fighters Collection 2015, which gave us another pseudo Time Leap unit in the form of Epoch Maker Dragon, and this set also gave us my all-time favorite unit, Upheaval Pegasus, for that oh so convenient board reset. So far, Gear Chronicle's main mechanic was to rewind our opponent's rear guards. The only problem was Gears didn't have any actual finishers. We had Unhit Pressure, Upheaval for disruptions, and only Ragnarok Clock that could push, but that was stopped simply by a PG. So Gear Chronicle didn't really do that much and was still a pretty weak clan. This changed once GBT04 dropped. Soul Strike Against the Supreme gave us the finisher we were looking for in the likes of Chrono Dragon Next Stage. This allowed Gears to become an actual playable clan. This was the first restanding stride in G that also utilized the main grade 3 GB2 skill, which gave the next attack a grade 0 guard restrict. This set also gave us Upstream Dragon and Bali, which we would utilize once Time Leap would drop with the next main set, as Bali basically substituted for 4 extra Chronojets, which means we wouldn't miss ride for an important Chronojet stride. Another solid card that was printed in this set was Caliban. This card gave us the much needed pre-GB plays, as this card could remove pesky Forerunner starters, which more and more clans started to rely on to start their powerful combos. Where GBT04 started Gear Chronicles their engines, GBT05 together with TD06 sent them straight into outer space, as this set together with the new trial deck introduced the new Time Leap mechanic and 4 cards that later would be referred to as the Elite 4. In the trial deck Rallying Call of the Interspectral Dragon, we got a new Time Leap Stride Metallica Phoenix, but also History Maker and the #1 starter Chrono Dren. In the main set Moonlight Dragonfang, we got Steam Fighter Melon, TikTok Worker and Uratar to complete the Elite 4 package together with History Maker. This new Time Leap core allowed us to multi-tech for 11Ks, and while we did that, we could plus but also put triggers back into the deck thanks to Uratar. Sometime after this, we also got a promo card named Tick Away Dragon that allows us to put even more triggers back into the deck from the drop zone. So we could multi-tech, draw a lot of cards and put triggers back into our deck. This made Gears so powerful in the early days of the G era. This set gave us also Lugal and a new Stride Fairy Mech Colossus that together with Danish from the trial deck gave the Rewind playstyle a more profound endgame and win condition than just solely rely on next stage. From this point onwards, Gear Chronicle's Time Leap deck would dominate the charts, although it took some time for the general public to catch on. After the release of Time Leap, we got Fighters Collection 2015 Winter, which gave us an upgraded Chronos Command in the likes of Chronos Command Revolution. This would not see a lot of play right out of the gate because of Time Leap being stronger, but it would see a resurgence once Luard would become a thing, as this would combine really well with Chrono Jet G, as you could wipe a Luard field, then your field, and then activate your unstride Time Leap skill to call and Time Leap something, and Luard would suffer greatly from starting with an empty field back when they didn't have their powerful tools. The next support we would get was Fighters Collection 2016. This set gave us Warp Drive Dragon, another optional Time Leap Stride. This was an extra option in case we missed the vital pieces for our combos, which helped with the consistency of the deck. But the more important card of this set was our G-Guard. Uluru was arguably the best G-Guard in the set. It allows us to shuffle even more triggers back into the deck alongside important Time Leap targets, which increased once again the consistency of the deck. Then the next main set, GBT07 Glorious Bravery of Radiant Sword, gave us the first base card for Chronofang together with a new G-Guard, Ravana, which helps us to set up as we could fetch our Uratar to the field ready for next turn. This was all just a big setup for the next big thing for Gears. As soon after we got our next trial deck and gear focused clan booster. True Zodiac Time Beast trial deck introduced us to the Zodiac Time Beast archetype, but it would be a long time before they would actually become a thing. The important cards were Chrono Jet Dragon G, as this allows us now to play 8 Chrono Jets, and with the Time Leap Stride skill, we could do a lot more plays like the aforementioned Chronos Command Revolution combo. The other card from this trial deck was Team Sniper Lishma. This gave us even more combo potential with the already present Elite 4. As for the clan booster Gear of Fate, we got a lot of new stuff. We got the whole Chrono Fang package alongside with the new Gear Colossus with Demiurge, only this, just like Zodiac Time Beast, would be months off before it could be playable. But we also got a mini Chronos Command archetype. The important keycards from this set were Delayed Blazer for more Time Leap combos, Tick Away for people that couldn't get their hands on a promo version, one of the best G-Guards in the game, Hydra Round Dragon, which could destroy all kinds of combos and could turn your Vanguard into a 21 to a 31k base unit during your opponent's turn if you combine it with a old stand trigger, which could be searched out with Ravana from the previous support wave. And of course, the main card from this set, Chrono Dragon Gear Groovy. The stride that would change future stride skill design, as it allows us to combine next stage with any other powerful skill. This set was the turning point for Gears, as from this point onwards, Bushiroad would only focus on ZTB and they would start restricting more and more Time Leap cards in the format. The next support wave for Gears was in GBT09 Divine Dragon Caper. This was a really small set and none of the cards changed anything for Gears, but these cards were the foundation for the new ZTB build that would arise in a couple of months, as in this set we got cards like Split Pegasus, Lugurure for Multitax and Hypnosis Sheet. Yes, this card was in the first ZTB support wave, but it didn't do anything at the time. This was followed up with the Try 3 Next booster that started a trend of useless GRs for Gears in 2017. This set gave us interesting ZTB cards that focused on running both Chrono Jets like Shift Bullet Dragon and the Arlene G-Guard. The key card in this set was Steen Tamer Arca. This card was 50 cents when it first came out, as ZTB was dead useless. Also a noteworthy card from the set and a favorite of W Slasher was Team Soldier Undalulu. It took a while, but finally with Fighters Collection 2017 we got new support for the Time Leap deck. And no, it's not that trash GB8. It's the new Uluru Flip G Guard that gave us some insane shield value. So far, Time Leap was still the better Gear Chronicle deck and was still on top dog in the meta, even though at this point we got countless restrictions. TikTok was at 1 and forbidden as a starter, Uratar was at 1 and Hateround was at 1 in Japan. Also, ZTB got support for a couple of waves now, but that still wasn't enough. This all changed with the next support wave. Gears changed once GBT11 Demonic Advent dropped. This was the set that ended Time Leap and made ZTB the best deck in the format. This set gave us once again a crappy GR, but beside that was pure gold. We got a ZTB stride that provided us with power and multi-attacks. We got insane draw power in the likes of Cruising Dragon and Transit Dragon. We also got a resist beater thanks to Manish, and we got a new ZTB stride fodder which would become insane at the end of the G era. The new ZTB was an insane powerhouse of consistency. We could draw like crazy, build power lines thanks to all the extra passive powers we could generate, and with cards like Chrono Jet G and Split Pegasus, we had almost a perfect consistency on board. But it didn't stop there, as the very next set, Dragon King's Awakening, we got our main finisher, Chrono Dragon Gear Next, a more powerful restander than Next Stage for the ZTB engine. But not only that, we got a ZTB Calibum in the form of Duplex Dragon, a powerful beater thanks to Upstonok Ox, which would come up later once GBT14 drops. And finally, we now get extra multi-attacks thanks to Sparehead Unicorn. This gave the deck also an insane multi-attack combo where they can go into Gear Groovy, flip their G-Zone open, then right back into Chrono Jet G, and because you have so many units face up, as well as some Split Pegasus, your front row is packed with high numbers. And if you have 1 or 2, maybe even 3 Hypnosis Sheep stand triggers on the field, then you could resend your Sparehead Unicorn multiple times, and that could result in double digits in the number of attacks. And if you think the story ends here, oh no, as CTB had one final transformation to go through, as once GBT14 dropped, the deck soared to new heights, as we got the keycards like Chrono Dren Z, Metal Party Dragon, Mary Block Dragon, Bombard Hawk, and of course their 3 most powerful cards, Chrono Jet Dragon Z, Chrono Visor Heritage, and their new G-Guard, Pulsar Saver Elishu. This set also gave them access to Dust, which at the time was the strongest ultimate stride before it got nerfed to Oblivion. This new ZTB could do everything the old build could, but better, stronger, and faster. The consistency went up a notch, the value of your skills went up as well, almost no skill had a negative downside to them, and you could use any card from anywhere, and thanks to the 2-turn Stride of Heritage, this deck remained at the top till the end of G. That was the entire journey during the G era. And before we go over the standard support and why that wasn't enough, let's analyze why it was already doomed from the start. And no matter what standard would give us, it wasn't going to change a thing. During the G era, we saw 3 different phases of support. We saw the beginning stage where we had the rewind cards and the generic support cards, but those were pretty damn weak, and this was the time when Gear Chronicle wasn't really a competitive player. But it all changed the moment they start getting their Time Leap support card and the Elite Four was created. And ironically, this was the moment where its downfall began, even though this was the time where it soared up in the competitive scene and became the #1 clan. Because if this didn't happen, Gear Chronicle would probably be competitive, or at least very much playable in Standard and Premium at this current stage. The reason for that is because Time Leap was such a powerful engine and way beyond its time, it was seen as a problem child. And because Bushiroad didn't want to directly ban cards as it was the main clan of the main character of the series, they decided to go a different approach. As from the point onward, either cards were underpowered, so they effectively become useless, or the potential good cards would get significant restrictions, and most of the time they were restrictions via name restrictions of archetype restrictions. So we had a lot of cards that either force you to have a specific unit like Chronojet, Chronofang, or a different archetype like ZTB or Gear Colossus, for example. We got Chronofang, which all the specific support cards only work with Chronofang, so it could not interact with the Time Leap engine, so mixing and mashing wasn't possible. Then we got the Gear Colossus support, same story. And afterwards, we got the Zodiac Time Beast engine, and this is exactly the point where it all ended for Gear Chronicle, as the ZTB engine was the most interlocked archetype that was created in the whole clan, as nothing could actually interact well with something outside of that archetype, as you will lose the consistency of your cards, and that whole archetype was built around consistency. And this, in fact, basically limited all kinds of deck designs and choices the players had with Gear Chronicle, so meaning the moment we went into the V era, where everything was about deck choices and opening up different strategies and playing with generic cards, as we got all these crazy things like the Blaster engine with the Force Marker generation, or the Ichikishima Tom engine, or the Ozoa Antlion combo, we saw all older cards that weren't really used all that much suddenly bring to the limelight with the introduction of the V-Series cards. But for Gear Chronicle, this could never be the case. Even though we didn't even have our V-Series support cards, we knew that this wouldn't actually be possible, because our strongest engine, the ZTB engine, could not mix well with non-ZTB cards, and we already knew that Chronojet and ZTB would not return for the V-Series support, at least for the first wave. This meant no matter what we would get in standard, ZTB would only get weaker as we would lose consistency, which was the main driving force behind that deck. So the only thing that was left was the Time Leap engine. But the problem with the Time Leap engine was that a lot of the key cards were restricted. The upside was that during the time that we got our standard support, we also got the uplifting from the restriction list for Gear Chronicle, so we could play everything at the max 4. But that still wasn't enough, because there were still two problems with Gear Chronicle. We had cards that either relied on Chronojet, which didn't have a force marker and was an 11k base, or we had the Time Leap engine. But the Time Leap engine itself focused around 11k multi-attack pokes. But with standard, that was no longer an option, because base powers were 12 and 13k. And also with the higher increase of defense triggers, the whole multi-attack pattern was a lot weaker, and even Zodiac Time Beast got nerfed because of the increase of the defensive triggers. Then we did see a light at the end of the tunnel with the whole premium collection set, as we got a Stride card that interact perfectly with Time Leap, as we've got a Metallica Phoenix like Stride that wasn't restricted to Chrono Jet, so it could work with any unit. So we could use Lost Legend as a 13k base that could create a force marker, which would help our multi-attack pokes to hit over those 12 to 13k base. The only problem was it still had issues with defensive triggers, as one defensive trigger could stop most of your combo attacks, as you will hit 21 and not 22 or 23. So because of the insane power during the G era and the lack of commitment from Bushiroad to outright restrict and ban cards right from the get-go, made Gear Chronicle turn into a very restrictive clan. And that restrictive nature, combined with the V-Series introducing higher base power, higher base triggers, and going for a generic approach that didn't interact well with our G-era support, made Gear Chronicle only weaker the more sets were released, and had no way of getting stronger. And that brings us to today, as currently we see no Gear Chronicles anywhere near the competitive meta scene, even though I would love to see them return. But we do have some high hopes and prospects for the near future, as we've seen with the upcoming Gear Chronicle support set, as we're going to reintroduce Chronofang, Chrono Tiger Rebellion, Chronojet, and even Next Stage. Will this be enough? That is a story for another day, as this is the start of a long journey on this channel where we're going to take a look and in-depth analysis about all the new Gear Chronicle cards that are going to be released, revealed, and printed in Cardfight Vanguard. So stay tuned on the channel, where there are many more in-depth analysis about Gear Chronicle itself, because this is Gear Chronicle Station. As always, I want to thank my Patreon supporters over at Patreon for making this video and everything happening on the channel possible. You guys are amazing. If you want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, then head over to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a Patreon today. But with that said, I'm Mr. Time Leap, and I see you guys in the next one.